They thought the wife lost the court case, but when she asked the judge for a key witness to come in, the husband froze in shock when he realized who it was. Only a few hours had passed since Amelia's world collapsed. The husband she cherished and trusted completely, the man she had built her life with, had a mistress. The revelation struck her like a tidal wave, leaving her breathless and disoriented. It wasn't just the betrayal that stung. It was the unraveling of the life they had meticulously crafted together. Everything she held dear, everything she had nurtured with love and devotion, crumbled like a fragile sandcastle swept away by an unexpected surge. Amelia was driving past Nathan's workplace when she spotted him outside the building. She considered stopping to say hello, but another woman reached him first, a brunette with long, glossy hair and high heels. She strode confidently to Nathan and kissed him on the lips. Nathan appeared delighted, gently embracing her before they climbed into his car and drove off to an unknown destination. Amelia sat frozen in her car, her mouth agape, unable to move. Thoughts churned in her mind. She too was beautiful and well-groomed. Who was this woman? How long had they been involved? Why hadn't she noticed anything sooner? But these questions would have to wait. For now, Amelia needed to pick up their daughter from school. Amelia drove their daughter to school each morning and collected her after classes. She and Nathan had 2 children, and she managed their care single-handedly. Nathan earned a good income and provided generously for the family, while Amelia worked part-time from home as a translator of French and German. Her hours were limited, mainly because their younger son, only 4, still attended daycare. The family lived in the suburbs. While Amelia's days revolved around the children, her husband was apparently spending time with another woman. The pain cut deeply, but she couldn't act on it in that moment. Causing a scene in the middle of the city wasn't her way, nor would it resolve anything. Instead, she resolved to confront Nathan that evening. Nathan returned home from work around 9 p.m. Amelia was tucking their son into bed, while their daughter, Lily, was in her room, engrossed in a book. Amelia had introduced Lily to the Harry Potter series at a young age, sparking a lasting passion for reading. After her son drifted off, Amelia headed downstairs to the kitchen, where Nathan was eating dinner. "Hey, love," Nathan said warmly, leaning in to kiss her cheek. Amelia turned away, her face tight. "What's wrong?" Nathan asked, his brow furrowing. "Why the cold shoulder?" "Nathan, is there something you need to tell me?" Amelia's voice was steady but sharp. "Like what?" He tilted his head, genuinely puzzled. "I drove by your office today," she said, her words deliberate. "I saw you outside. A brunette walked up, kissed you, and you held her like she meant something. Be honest, Nathan, who is she? Are you having an affair?" Nathan stood silent, his eyes fixed on her. After a long pause, he muttered, "Amelia, I don't want to get into this right now." "Oh, you don't want to talk about it, but you're fine sneaking around behind my back." Amelia's voice trembled with hurt. Nathan exhaled heavily, running a hand through his hair. "All right, yes, she's a colleague. We've been involved. But, Amelia, I don't want to upend our life. You and the kids. You're my world. She's just..." "Just what?" Amelia snapped, her anger flaring. "You think I'll just shrug this off and pretend everything's fine?" Nathan shifted uncomfortably, his confidence faltering. He hadn't expected her to find out, let alone confront him like this. "Look, Amelia," he said, his tone hardening. "I'm not walking away from this family. The kids need both of us." "You're unbelievable, Nathan," Amelia said, her voice breaking as tears welled up. "You betrayed us for some fling at work." She turned and walked out of the kitchen, leaving him standing alone. That night, Amelia and Nathan slept in separate rooms. He didn't approach her, and the next morning he slipped out early before anyone stirred. Unlike his usual routine of leaving a note or nudging her awake, this time there was only silence. Amelia felt the weight of her crumbling family pressing down on her. Uncertain of what to do, she buried herself in household tasks and caring for the children. By midday, she had dropped their son at daycare, picked up their daughter from school, and finished her translation work. Alone with her thoughts, her mind wandered back 8 years to when she and Nathan first met. They had crossed paths at university, Amelia immersed in foreign languages, Nathan wrapping up his degree in computational technologies. Despite their differing worlds, they connected at a campus event. Sparks ignited, blossoming into friendship and then love. Their courtship was swift. When Amelia became pregnant, Nathan proposed. Amelia graduated with Lily in her arms, buoyed by her parents and Nathan's mother. Nathan, already working, owned a car and an apartment. A few years later, they sold the apartment, pooled their savings, and bought a spacious suburban house. After Lily's birth, Amelia worked briefly at a translation agency until her second pregnancy led her to step away. Since then, she had worked part-time from home, raising and nurturing their children, while Nathan ascended to a department head role at a leading IT firm. She had supported him unconditionally, never meddling in his career, always prioritizing his needs. And now, she faced 2 young children, a part-time job, and a husband who had shattered her trust. Resolved, Amelia knew she had to take action. That evening, she steeled herself for another conversation with Nathan, hoping to uncover his vision for their future. They spoke, but the discussion left her disheartened, far from the resolution she had sought. "I've told you, Amelia. I don't want a divorce, but I can't walk away from Sophie right now," Nathan said, his voice low. "What do you mean, can't?" Amelia asked, her confusion sharpening. "She's pregnant," he admitted, his eyes dropping with guilt. The words hit Amelia like a blow she hadn't braced for. She could no longer stomach his betrayal, let alone a child with another woman. "I'm done, Nathan. I'm filing for divorce, and that's it. We can't go on like this," she said, her voice cracking, tears threatening. Nathan exhaled, his expression heavy. "Maybe you're right, Amelia. But if you push for divorce, don't expect much from me. It'll ruin my reputation, and I'm not for it." Her resolve hardened. "I'm filing tomorrow," she said firmly. "I won't stay with you knowing you're with her." "Think carefully," he warned, his tone cold. "I'll leave you with nothing and go for the kids." His threat ignited her fury. "Don't you dare try to take my children," she shouted, tears spilling as she stormed to her bedroom. True to her word, Amelia filed for divorce the next day. With children involved, the court required a hearing, granting them a month to reconsider. Reconciliation never came. Nathan still came home to sleep but barely spoke to her. One evening he returned not alone but with Sophie. Amelia's stomach churned as she noticed the woman's slightly rounded belly, confirming the pregnancy. Descending from the second floor, she found Nathan and Sophie in her kitchen, sipping tea and laughing softly. They were eating the pancakes she'd made for her children that morning. "What is this?" Amelia demanded, her voice sharp. "Have you lost all sense? Who is she to you, and why is she in our home?" "Soon I'll be the one living here, not you," Sophie said, her voice dripping with nonchalance as she took another bite of pancake. "Who gave you that idea?" Amelia snapped. "This is my home, mine, my husband's, and our children's." Sophie smirked. "Your husband will be mine before long. You'll be nothing to him. We'll take the kids too and have a big, happy family." Amelia spun toward Nathan, who hadn't uttered a word. "Tell me she's lying," she demanded, her voice breaking. "Amelia, I asked you to drop the divorce," Nathan said coolly. "I tried to reason with you. You didn't listen, so now I'm moving forward. I'm taking the house and the kids." "You can't do that," Amelia cried. "The kids need me. I'm the one who's raised them." Nathan scoffed. "With what? Your translator's salary? What's that, 30,000 a year? That won't cover rent for a decent place, let alone clothes or activities for them." His words cut deep, fueling her anger. "How dare you? I loved you, our children, our home. We built this together and you destroyed it. I won't let you take my kids, and I'll fight for this house," she vowed. Sophie's smug expression and rounded belly were unbearable. Amelia looked away as Nathan and Sophie lingered in the kitchen for another half-hour before leaving. She couldn't fathom why Nathan would parade his mistress in their home, knowing she was there. Later, Lily, sensing the strain, started asking questions. "Mum, why doesn't Dad come home some nights? Where's he sleeping?" her second grader asked, her eyes wide with worry. Amelia's heart ached as she searched for gentle words. "Sweetie," she said softly, "your dad and I are having a hard time right now. Soon he'll live somewhere else, but you'll still see him and spend time together. That's just how things will be for a while." Lily, too young to grasp it fully, struggled to accept that her father might not live with them anymore. The court hearing arrived, meant to finalize their divorce. Amelia hoped for an amicable split, with the children staying with her and Nathan moving out. Instead, Nathan appeared with Sophie and a counterclaim, demanding custody and a property split. They were divorced that day, but for Amelia, the ordeal was far from over. 3 days later, Nathan returned, with Sophie. "We're here, Amelia," he said with a smirk. "This is my house too, isn't it?" Amelia stared, her shock giving way to disbelief. How could the man she once loved act with such brazen disregard, bringing his mistress into the home where she and their children lived? "Nathan, have you lost your mind?" Amelia demanded, her voice shaking with fury. "Your children live here. What are you going to tell them about her?" "If you don't like it, leave," Nathan shot back, his tone icy. "The kids will adjust. She's moving in." In a deliberate display, Nathan wrapped his arm around Sophie, kissing her forehead. "There's a hearing coming up," he said smugly. "I'll get the house and the kids." "You won't win, Nathan," Amelia said, her voice steady despite her rage. "I'll fight with everything I've got to keep the children." Sensing the futility of arguing further, she turned and left the room. Nathan and Sophie headed to the guest room, while Amelia remained in the master bedroom. Alone, Amelia grappled with the surreal turn of events. Coexisting with Nathan and his mistress was unthinkable. She hurried to her children's rooms. "Pack your things quickly," she told them. "Mommy, where are we going? Why do we have to leave?" Lily asked, her voice trembling with confusion. "I'll explain soon, Lily. Right now, we just need to go," Amelia said, swiftly gathering clothes, documents, and her work laptop. Without alerting Nathan or Sophie, she ushered the kids to the garage, piled into her car, and drove away. "Mom, where are we headed?" Owen asked from the back seat. "I'm not sure yet, sweetheart," Amelia admitted, fighting to stay calm. "How do you not know?" Lily pressed, bewildered. Amelia knew she had to think fast and form a plan. Staying with her in-laws was out. They'd back Nathan and his bid for the kids. Her mother lived states away. She had no close friends she could burden with 2 children in tow. Fortunately, Amelia had some savings, plus access to the funds Nathan deposited for family expenses. She decided to find a rental apartment. Pulling over, she scrolled through listings on her phone. She soon found a 2-bedroom apartment near Lily's school. She dialed the landlord. "Hello, good evening. I'm interested in renting your apartment." "Yes, as soon as possible," she said. "Immediately?" the man asked, caught off guard. "Yes, for me and my 2 children. We need it urgently," she explained. "All right. I can meet you there in 40 minutes, he replied. Amelia drove to the address, parking near the apartment building. While waiting for the landlord, she and the kids explored the neighborhood. It had everything they needed: a grocery store, a pharmacy, and a small cafe. Still, the children were unsettled about leaving their home for an unfamiliar place. Lily's questions started again. "Mum, how long will we stay here?" she asked, her voice tinged with worry. "I'm not sure, sweetheart. Maybe a couple of months. If it feels right, we could stay longer," Amelia answered gently. "Who's going to live in our house?" Lily pressed. "For now, Dad's staying there with someone else. That's why we can't go back yet," Amelia explained, choosing her words carefully. "Did Dad choose someone else over us? Did he leave us?" Lily asked, her eyes brimming with hurt. "No, darling," Amelia said, crouching to meet her gaze. "Your dad loves you. Sometimes mums and dads need to live apart, but that doesn't change how much he cares about you." She hoped to shield them from bitterness toward their father. The landlord arrived soon after, a tall, professional-looking man in his 40s. "You must be Amelia?" he asked with a kind smile. Yes, that's me, she replied, gripping her children's hands. Come on, let's see the apartment, he said, guiding them inside. The apartment was warm and inviting, freshly renovated with simple, tasteful furniture. Amelia felt an immediate sense of relief. We'll take it, she said decisively. We'd like to rent it long-term. The landlord handed her the keys and smiled. Welcome. Call me if you need anything, he said before heading out. Amelia turned to the kids. All right, this is our home for now. Go pick your rooms. Lily and Owen chose the larger bedroom to share, leaving the smaller one for Amelia. The next morning, Amelia followed her routine, dropping Lily at school and Owen at daycare. But everything felt heavier now, the stress of her new reality pressing down. To build savings, she took on more translation work and hired a lawyer to file a countersuit for custody and property division. Her friend Emma recommended a skilled lawyer named Ben. Amelia arranged to meet him at a cafe with a play area, as she had no one to watch the kids. As they sat down, Amelia's emotions surfaced. I never imagined this would happen to me. It's like a bad movie, she said, her voice wavering. Tell me about your situation so I can help, Ben said, pen poised over his notebook. Amelia poured out her story, catching Nathan's affair, his threats to take the kids, her filing for divorce, and the audacity of him bringing his mistress into their home. She shared her current setup in the rental apartment and her fear of losing her children. Ben listened closely, nodding. It's tough to take kids from a working, devoted mother. The first time in weeks, Amelia felt a spark of hope. Thank you, Ben, for taking this on. And for the apartment, she said. We're just starting, he replied. Keep in touch, and we'll work through it together. Back at the house, Sophie kept pushing Nathan. She demanded they move in, unwilling to raise their baby in her cramped apartment. Nathan resisted at first, but eventually caved. His fight for custody wasn't driven by love. It was fueled by resentment toward Amelia for daring to divorce him. He wanted the status quo, living with Amelia and their kids while supporting Sophie and her child financially. Sophie, though, had bigger plans. She wanted the house for herself. Nathan was indifferent to where Amelia would end up after their split. Bolstered by his high-powered lawyer, he was certain the children would live with him. The possibility of Amelia winning custody never entered his mind. She lacked the wealth and networks he'd cultivated over years. But things unfolded differently. Ben took Amelia's case with utmost seriousness, diving deep into Nathan's background. In professional circles, Nathan was known as sharp, audacious, and resourceful. Ben leveraged a contact, Simon, a manager in a neighbouring department at Nathan's IT company, and arranged a meeting. Thanks for seeing me, Simon, Ben said. I'm representing a woman whose husband is fighting for their kids after starting an affair at work. He's at your company, Nathan Whitaker. Know him? Yeah, I know Nathan, Simon replied. He's been different since he got tangled up with Sophie. Not in a good way. You know Sophie too? Ben probed. Everyone does. She's in HR. Always on the hunt for her next move. Now she's with Nathan. Whispers she was cozy with the CEO once, but that's just talk. She's got charm on the surface, but underneath. Trouble, Simon said. Word is, Nathan's on thin ice with the CEO lately. No clue why. Maybe Sophie's involved? Doubt it, Simon continued. The CEO's married, and when his wife caught wind of his own affair, she raised hell. People still talk about it. He's got a stern look, but she runs the show. Sophie's out of that picture. After a beat, Simon leaned in. This is just chatter, but some say Nathan's been slipping company data to a competitor. No one's nailed him for it, though. That detail hit Ben like a spark. He knew digging into this would be tough, but he was committed to Amelia's case. His reputation for integrity drove him to see it through. 2 weeks later, the first hearing to decide the children's custody was set. Ben felt assured. He'd compiled all necessary documents and was ready to demonstrate Amelia's devotion as a mother. He'd seen her warmth and attentiveness toward Lily and Owen firsthand at their cafe meeting, her care for them unmistakable. The day of the hearing arrived swiftly. Amelia's nerves were frayed, aware her life could shift dramatically. To her relief, the session unfolded smoothly. Nathan attended alone without Sophie and kept things civil. Amelia, who knew him well, could tell from his demeanour that he was under strain, but she held back any urge to console him. After all, he was the one who'd upended her and the children's lives. The court granted custody to Amelia, allowing the children to remain with her. Overwhelmed with joy, she could now take Lily to school with peace of mind, knowing her daughter would come home to her each evening. Nathan received visitation rights, contingent on prior arrangement, which seemed to suit him. With mounting troubles at work, his focus was elsewhere. Nathan had long been with his company, expecting a promotion or at least a raise. When neither materialized, he turned his attention to a rival firm that had surged into a modern powerhouse. This frustrated his CEO, who pushed employees to outshine competitors. Stung by the stalled career, Nathan contacted the rival company, offering to sell sensitive data. Though hesitant at first, they paid him handsomely. When his CEO learned of the breach, the culprit remained elusive, as no one spoke up. Only Nathan knew the truth. The competitor flourished with the stolen intel, but Nathan's hope for a job offer never came. The rival's leadership held a firm stance. A traitor once would betray again. They left him where he was. Nathan's work grew intolerable as he chased recognition that never came. At home, tensions mounted. Sophie, pregnant and demanding, grumbled about money, the house's space, and wanting a housekeeper. Her constant complaints grated on him, fueling his frustration. With the court ruling in her favor, Amelia felt a wave of relief. She could now raise her children without disruption, while Nathan's life unraveled further. Ben suggested celebrating the victory at a cafe, and Amelia agreed. He took her to a charming, intimate restaurant by the river. Scanning the menu, Amelia picked the most indulgent dishes, feeling she'd earned a treat after countless sleepless nights and frazzled nerves. The outcome had made it all worthwhile. Noticing Ben's bare ring finger, Amelia held back from asking about his status. He opened up on his own. "Watching you, Amelia, reminds me of my wife. Well, ex-wife," Ben said, correcting himself. "You're divorced too, like me?" Amelia asked gently. "Yeah," he said with a wry smile. "I hope yours went smoother than mine. You'd think a lawyer would know how to keep things civil." "Not exactly peaceful, was it?" Amelia guessed. "Not quite," Ben admitted. "My ex-wife and I were like strangers sharing a house for years. Barely talked, didn't want to. It dragged on until one night she said she wanted out. She'd met someone kind, attentive. She was happy, wanted to live with him, make it official. Said, 'I could have lied, spent days with him and nights with you, but I can't live a lie.' That was it." "I didn't handle it well," Ben continued. "My ego took a hit. I refused the divorce and insisted our son would stay with me. Those words cut her deeply. I see that now. Watching you, Amelia, I realize kids belong with their mom, and men shouldn't let pride cloud their judgment." "How did it end?" Amelia asked, drawn into his story. "She married the guy she met while we were still together," Ben said. "Our son stayed with her. I had to do a lot of soul-searching. I fought for custody, but the court sided with her. That apartment you're in now? It was ours. We were happy there. Our son was born there. We saved up, bought a bigger place, but kept that one. I thought he'd live in it someday, but he moved away for college. So I rent it out now." He paused, then added, "I've learned happiness isn't about space. It's about the people you hold close." "To that," Amelia said, raising her glass. They ordered a bottle of wine to celebrate their courtroom win. "To your happiness, Amelia, and to your kids," Ben toasted. They sipped their wine but didn't linger. Amelia had to pick up Owen from daycare. Driving home, Amelia kept turning over Ben's earlier hint about Nathan's work troubles. He'd suggested Nathan could be facing serious consequences, maybe even jail. The idea unsettled her, though she hadn't let it show. What could Nathan have done to spiral so far? She had no one to ask. Meanwhile, Ben stumbled across a temporary opening at a rival company through an online listing. He applied, and the next day he was called for an interview. It was tough, but Ben's answers resonated with the leadership. Soon after, they offered him a role as an external consultant, a perfect fit, letting him maintain his private practice. While working at the company, Ben struck up a friendship with Nora, the CEO's secretary. A sharp, recent university graduate, she'd been with the firm part-time since her junior year, giving her a deep understanding of its dynamics. One day, Ben saw an opportunity to tap into her knowledge. "Nora, you know everyone here, don't you?" he asked casually. "Pretty much," she said with a shrug. "There are only 2 major IT firms in town, and the other one's crumbling." "Why's that?" Ben probed. "People are jumping ship and spilling their secrets to us," she replied offhandedly. Ben's pulse quickened. "What did you just say?" he asked, masking his surprise. Nora's eyes widened, realizing her mistake. "Please, Mr. Carrington, don't repeat that." "Repeat what exactly?" Ben pressed gently. She hesitated, then whispered, "That Nathan Whitaker, a department head at the other company, sold their data to us for a big payout. It went down late one night. I was called in to log everything." The confession solidified Ben's suspicions. With this leverage, he requested a meeting with Nathan, who agreed reluctantly. "My lawyer's handling all my issues. I've given him the full rundown," Nathan said brusquely when they met. "Nathan, I wanted to talk privately. Something just between us," Ben said, lowering his voice. "What are you getting at?" Nathan asked, eyes narrowing. "I'm not here to threaten you," Ben said carefully. "But if you don't meet my client's terms on the property division, your job could be at risk." Nathan's face flushed with anger. "That's blackmail!" he roared, slamming his fist on the table. "I'll ruin you!" He stormed out, leaving Ben unfazed. Ben stayed calm after Nathan's outburst, weighing his options carefully. One thing was clear. Nathan wouldn't budge on Ben's terms, so Ben had to move forward solo. His best shot was Nora. With the court hearing for Nathan and Amelia's property division nearing, Ben prepared meticulously. Amelia was readying herself too. 2 days before the hearing, Ben met with her. "Amelia, you need to brace for anything," he cautioned. "What do you mean? Is the house out of reach?" she asked, her voice tight with worry. "No, you've got a solid shot at the house, or at least half," Ben assured her. "But some things might surface during the hearing." "Like what?" Amelia pressed, concern rising. "About Nathan's work," Ben said vaguely. Convincing Nora to testify in court took all of Ben's persuasion. He also sent a formal notice to Nathan's direct superior, inviting him to the hearing. The CEO deserved to know the truth about his company, and Ben intended to lay it bare in court. "As long as it doesn't hurt my kids," Amelia said resolutely. She'd already ruled out reconciling with Nathan. His choices were his own. Her focus was on forging a future for herself and her children. "I hear you, Amelia. See you at the hearing," Ben replied softly. "If it weren't for you, I don't know where my kids and I would be," she said, her gratitude clear. The 2 days passed quickly, and the hearing arrived. Amelia attended alone, leaving Lily and Owen at home. They didn't need to see their parents' conflict. Nathan didn't acknowledge her, arriving with Sophie as expected. Amelia wasn't fazed. Amelia sat beside Ben as the judge entered and opened the hearing, reviewing the case. The shared assets included an 1,800-square-meter country house and 2 cars, one driven by Nathan, the other by Amelia. Nathan demanded full ownership, claiming he'd funded everything. "And what did your wife, Mrs. Griffin, do during these years?" the judge asked Nathan. "She stayed home, looked after the kids," Nathan answered curtly. "So, Amelia Griffin didn't work outside the home but managed childcare," the judge clarified. "That's a contribution to the family's well-being. Children are central to a family, and someone has to care for them. Often roles split this way. Mothers return to work as kids grow." "But she didn't contribute financially or buy any assets," Nathan countered. "Noted, Mr. Griffin. Please take your seat," the judge said. Nathan sat, and the judge turned to Amelia. "What are you seeking from the shared property?" "I believe I'm entitled to half the house and the car I use," Amelia said evenly. A fair split makes sense, especially since the children live with me. We need a home. I'm not asking for anything beyond that. Thank you, Ms. Griffin, the judge replied. Just then, Amelia signaled to introduce a witness. Is this relevant to the case? The judge inquired. Yes, Amelia said softly, though her true aim was to strike a decisive blow against Nathan. Proceed. Call the witness, the judge allowed. As Nora, the secretary, stepped into the courtroom, Nathan's face froze in disbelief. She entered hesitantly, but steadied herself when Ben gave her an encouraging nod. Taking her place, Nora began to speak. Your Honor, I'm here to testify that Nathan Whitaker is untrustworthy, Nora began. Untrustworthy how? Please explain, the judge prompted. He betrayed his employer, Nora said firmly. Nathan stiffened, his eyes darting to his CEO in the courtroom. The pieces started falling into place for him. Nora pressed on. He leaked the company's projects and strategies to a competitor. What? The CEO burst out. Whitaker, you're the leak! Order in the court, the judge commanded, striking the gavel. Let the witness continue. Nora nodded. He sold critical company data to my employer for a large sum. It happened late one night. I was brought in to record the transaction. That's a lie! I never did that, Nathan yelled, jumping up. Silence, the judge snapped. Security, remove Mr. Whitaker. Two officers swiftly approached, took Nathan by the arms, and led him out as he hurled insults at Nora. You're done, Whitaker, his CEO shouted after him. The judge turned to Nora. Can you substantiate your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I saw it all myself, she said with conviction. The judge addressed the CEO. Can you confirm any of this? The CEO nodded grimly. We had a data breach about a month ago. We couldn't pin it down then, but Whitaker, as department head, had full access. It's plausible he's responsible. Thank you. Please be seated, the judge said. Facing Amelia, the judge asked, Any further statements or requests? No, Your Honor, Amelia replied calmly. The court will recess to deliberate, the judge announced, standing and exiting the courtroom. After the hearing, Amelia and Ben lingered in the courtroom. Ben approached Nora with gratitude. Nora, you were incredible, he said earnestly. The rival company's CEO soon pulled Nora aside, and she recounted everything she knew. About 30 minutes later, the judge returned with the verdict. The court rules that all marital property be divided equally, the judge declared. Mr. Whitaker, you are entitled to half the country house and the car you've been using. Amelia's heart lifted at the fair outcome, though splitting the house with Nathan unsettled her. It meant more dealings with him, which she loathed. Still, the ruling matched what she and Ben had aimed for. Not a great spot for him, Ben said as they exited the courthouse. He lost his gamble and now his boss will likely fire him. Finding work in his field will be rough with his reputation and ego. I never thought Nathan would sink this low, Amelia admitted. Raising the kids alone won't be easy, but I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll land a full-time job soon. You've got this, Ben said. We hit every mark we set. Thank you, Ben. I'd have been lost without you, Amelia said, her voice warm with appreciation. Just doing what I'm here for, he replied with a modest smile. They parted, and Amelia assumed their paths wouldn't cross again. She paid his legal fees, believing that chapter was over. But life had other ideas in store. 2 nights later, Amelia jolted awake to her phone's insistent ringing. She usually silenced it at night, but somehow forgot this time. Groggy, she fumbled for the device and saw Ben's name glowing on the screen. Hello? She mumbled, voice thick with sleep. Amelia, call 911 for 231 Willowbrook Lane, apartment 4B. Ben's voice came through, tense and urgent, before the line went dead. Heart racing, Amelia leapt from bed, pacing her room in a frenzy. She redialed Ben, but it went straight to voicemail. Panic gripped her. What was happening? With no other option, she dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? The operator asked. There's a man in trouble at 231 Willowbrook Lane, apartment 4B, Amelia said, repeating Ben's words, her voice shaky. "We've got it. An ambulance is on the way," the operator assured her. Sleep was impossible. Amelia paced, torn between rushing to Ben and staying with her kids. What if Lily or Owen woke up to find her gone? The thought anchored her, though waiting until morning felt agonizing. At dawn, she got Lily and Owen ready, dropped them at school and daycare, and drove to the address Ben had given. She'd never been to his place and had no idea what awaited. At 231 Willowbrook Lane, she found apartment 4B and knocked sharply. No answer. Her knocks grew louder, desperate. "Ben, are you there? Open the door," she called. The noise roused an elderly neighbour who poked her head out. "What's with all the racket, dear?" "Does Ben live here?" Amelia asked, breathless. "He does, but he's not in. Heard an ambulance took him away last night," the woman said. Amelia's stomach dropped. "Do you know which hospital?" "Sorry, love, I don't," the neighbour said, retreating inside. Amelia lingered in the hallway, her mind racing. She decided to call every hospital in town to track down Ben, but before she could start, her phone buzzed. "Amelia, it's me," Ben said, his voice faint. "Ben, are you okay? I was so scared," Amelia blurted out. "I went to your apartment, but you weren't there." "I got jumped in my building's stairwell," Ben said, his tone subdued. "One of them was your ex, Nathan." "No way," Amelia gasped, stunned. "Nathan wouldn't do that." "He was with some guy I didn't know," Ben continued. "They cornered me, beat me up bad. Nathan kept saying, 'You cost me my job.' I tried to fight back, but it was 2 against 1. They didn't stop until I went down. I think they figured I was done for." "Oh, Ben, I'm so sorry," Amelia said, guilt twisting in her chest. "When they took off, I barely got my phone out and called you. Your number was right there in my recents," he explained. "Did you tell the police?" she asked. "Paramedics did. It's protocol for assaults. Cops already talked to me. I told them everything. They'll probably pick up Nathan soon." Ben had a concussion, a bruised shin, and several cuts and bruises, but he was on the mend. Amelia visited him daily at the hospital, bringing homemade food and fresh fruit. She was his most regular visitor, though his son dropped by twice. As far as she knew, Ben's ex-wife never showed. In the months after Ben's hospital discharge, Amelia noticed he had no other women in his life. She also hadn't crossed paths with Sophie, Nathan's partner. Over time, Amelia and Ben grew closer. Their daily phone calls covered everything: life, travel, politics, pets, kids, and more. Without fully realizing it, Amelia came to see Ben as a vital part of her world. Ben chose not to drop the assault report, knowing Nathan could face serious consequences, possibly even jail time. "Does it bother you that your kid's dad might end up behind bars?" Ben asked her one day. "Should I pull the report?" Amelia paused, then said, "I need to talk to Nathan first. We've been overdue for a meeting about the country house." She'd meant to arrange it earlier, but life's demands kept getting in the way. The next day, she mustered the courage and called him. "Nathan, hey, we need to meet up," she said. "Can you come to the country house?" Nathan replied. "I'm not working right now, and Sophie's under the weather. I've been looking after the baby." "Oh, the baby's here already?" Amelia asked, keeping her tone light despite the sting of the news. "Yeah, born a month ago. 3rd time's a charm, I guess," Nathan said, a trace of sadness in his voice. "All right, I'll head over," Amelia agreed. "You remember the address, right?" he said, half joking. "I remember," she said evenly. She gathered her things and drove to the house that once felt like home. When she arrived, Luna, their old family dog, bounded up, tail wagging. The kids rushed out too, thrilled to see her. Amelia knelt, scratching Luna's ears. "Hey, girl, you holding up okay?" she murmured, a wave of nostalgia hitting her. Stepping inside, Amelia noticed the house felt off, unkempt, less warm than she remembered. Her thoughts broke as Nathan appeared in the living room, cradling a small baby. "Luna tipped me off you were here. She only whines for you," Nathan said with a faint smile. "Barks at everyone else, still growls at Sophie. She's scared to go near her." "Boy or girl?" Amelia asked, nodding toward the baby. "Boy." Jasper, Nathan said, swaying gently to keep the infant calm. He lowered his voice. Sophie's been sick, fever for 2 days. Won't see a doctor. She's different since the birth. Talks about postpartum depression but won't touch the baby. I'm doing what I can, but she's just checked out. Amelia's heart sank. She knew that darkness. After Lily's birth, she'd struggled too, until a friend pushed her to see a psychiatrist. Meds or time, something pulled her through, but she understood the weight of it. Nathan, she needs a doctor, Amelia said, surprised at her own concern after all they'd put her through. But a child's safety trumped old grudges. She won't budge, Nathan said, frustration creeping in. I know she needs help, but I can't make her go. Call an ambulance, Amelia pressed. 2 days with a high fever. That's not something to ignore. Nathan looked at her, then nodded slowly. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. He handed Jasper to Amelia while he made the call. The baby was calm at first, but soon started fussing. Amelia paced, rocking him gently, but he wouldn't settle. Spotting a stroller outside, she eased him into it and began circling the house. After a few laps, his cries faded, and he drifted off to sleep. 15 minutes later, the ambulance pulled up. Nathan guided the paramedics upstairs to Sophie, who, after some resistance, agreed to go to the hospital. He hurried back down, a small bag slung over his shoulder. Amelia, can you watch Jasper until I'm back? He asked, already halfway out the door. Amelia gave a slight nod, caught off guard. She hadn't expected to be caring for her ex-husband's child with his mistress, but what could she say? Life, she mused, had a way of throwing curveballs. Nathan rushed to the ambulance without waiting for her reply, leaving her alone with the baby. With no other option, she kept pushing the stroller around the yard, the gentle motion keeping Jasper settled. An hour later, Jasper stirred, his cries piercing the quiet. Amelia realized he was hungry but had no clue what to give him. She carried him inside, spotting a bassinet in the living room, and set him down gently. In the kitchen, she rummaged until she found formula and a bottle. Clearly, he wasn't breastfed. She read the instructions carefully, mixed the formula, tested the warmth, and headed back. Cradling Jasper, she offered the bottle. He latched on eagerly, draining it with tiny, determined gulps. When he finished, his wide eyes locked onto hers, curious about this stranger stepping in for his mother. Nathan returned 2 hours later, exhaustion etched on his face. How's Sophie? Amelia asked, still holding Jasper. Pneumonia, Nathan said, his voice low. X-ray confirmed it. I mentioned her depression to the doctor too. They'll keep an eye on her. I'm stuck at home with the baby for a couple of weeks. You'll figure it out, Amelia said, carefully passing Jasper to him. As Nathan reached for Jasper, their eyes locked for a fleeting moment, faces inches apart. Amelia stepped back quickly, a quiet certainty settling in. She felt nothing for him anymore. The turmoil of recent months had snuffed out any trace of affection. No problem, she said evenly. If you need a hand with the baby, just say so. I can stop by now and then. Driving home, Amelia replayed the day's events. Later, Nathan called with an update. His mother was coming to help with Jasper. Then he brought up their lingering issue. Amelia, about the house, he started. I can't push you and the kids out, especially with you renting and scraping by. How about I pay you half the house's value? Would that work? She paused, the thought of letting go of the home where she'd raised Lily and Owen stinging. Yeah, that's fair, she said at last. Good, Nathan replied. I'll send the money soon. He hesitated, then added, one more thing. I want to apologize to Ben publicly. Could you ask him to drop the complaint against me? Amelia's gaze fell, her mind wrestling with the request. Nathan, do you get how wrong that was? You attacked someone for telling the truth in court. I know, he said, his voice heavy. I'm only now seeing how bad it is. If I end up in jail, Jasper won't have a dad. She exhaled slowly. I'll talk to Ben, she said finally. But don't forget Lily and Owen. They miss you. As she turned to go, Nathan called after her, bring them over soon. I'd love to see them. That evening, Amelia dialed Ben. Ben, Nathan's in a tough spot, she said. Sophie's in the hospital with pneumonia and postpartum depression. He's got no job. Could you consider dropping the complaint? Please. For you, I'll do it, Ben said, his voice warm. Thanks, Ben, Amelia said softly, the words, my dear, almost slipping out before she caught herself. Still, her tone carried a gentleness that made Ben smile. Did you sort things out with Nathan about the house? He asked. Yeah, he's paying me half its value, she said. I realized I don't want it anymore. It's not the home it was. Someone else's life is there now, with their kid. I couldn't stay. I get it, Ben said, quietly relieved. I know a great realtor who can help you find something new. That'd be amazing, Amelia said, gratitude in her voice. 2 weeks later, the house money hit her account, and Amelia started her search for a new home. She pictured a warm, roomy apartment where Lily and Owen could feel secure. A fresh start for them all. She told Ben about her vision, and they began hunting together, visiting countless places. Amelia narrowed it down to 3 apartments that checked her boxes. Now came the hard part, choosing. Why don't you take the kids to see them? Ben suggested. Get their take. Good idea, she said. That weekend, she brought Lily and Owen to tour the 3 apartments. To her surprise, the kids picked their favourite in no time. Mom, this one's the best. My room can have cat wallpaper, Lily squealed, bouncing with excitement. And there's an awesome playground right outside, Owen chimed in, grinning. All right, you two. Looks like we've got a winner, Amelia said, her smile wide as the kids cheered. 2 weeks later, Amelia signed the papers, officially making the apartment theirs. She, Lily, and Owen were over the moon and planned a housewarming to celebrate with loved ones. Mum, can Ben come to the party? Lily asked, her tone hopeful. Amelia's heart warmed. Ben had become such a steady presence. Of course, sweetheart, she said, touched by Lily's enthusiasm. Ben showed up with gifts, a smart assistant for Lily and a big remote-controlled car for Owen. The kids were thrilled, disappearing to their rooms to play, leaving Amelia and Ben alone in the kitchen. As they chatted over coffee, a quiet realization hit Amelia. She loved Ben. The feeling had crept up, blooming unnoticed amid the chaos of her life. Ben, she said, her voice soft but sure, why don't you stay tonight? Her eyes held his, unguarded and certain. I'd like you to. Ben closed the distance between them, wrapping her in a gentle hug. I've been hoping you'd say that, he murmured, relief in his tone. I didn't want to push, not with everything you've faced, the divorce, the property fights, raising Lily and Owen mostly on your own. It's a lot, but you've carried it with such grace. I've always wanted to be there, to make things easier for you. Amelia's eyes shimmered as she gazed at him. I've felt it, Ben, she said, her voice tender. Your care, your patience. Thank you for being there, for believing in me when I doubted myself. I love you. I love you too, Ben murmured, his forehead touching hers, voice barely above a whisper. I used to think you couldn't love again so soon after a broken heart. I'd roll my eyes at people who moved on fast. But now I get it. A year ago, I thought Nathan was my forever, that our life was it. I was wrong. What I feel for you, it's deeper, realer than anything I've known. Amelia's smile bloomed, her heart brimming in a way it hadn't in ages. I didn't think I'd find love again either, but with you it's different, better, true. Ben leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. A spark zipped through her, her pulse quickening as the air between them thickened. Stay, she said again, firm but soft. Be with us. He eased back, his eyes searching hers. What about Lily and Owen? He asked, concern creasing his brow. Will they be okay with me? I don't want to just be some guy passing through. I want to be family, really be there for them. They already love you, Amelia said, her voice steady. You're kind, patient, fun. They trust you. I know they'll come to love you like I do. The next day, Ben packed his things and moved in, renting out his own apartment to focus on a life with Amelia and her kids. Amelia kept up her remote work, juggling her job and home life with care. Ben stepped in, taking on household chores and easing the money worries that had weighed on her for years. For the first time in ages, she could breathe. Together, they forged a partnership rooted in love, respect, and shared effort. Evenings hummed with Lily and Owen's laughter, the kids delighted by Ben's knack for fun, board games, silly projects, and backyard adventures. Months later, Amelia ran into Nathan at a local cafe. It had been over a year, and seeing him stirred a mix of feelings: nostalgia, a touch of pity, and a faint ache for what once was. He looked gaunt, older, life's toll etched into his face. They exchanged polite hellos, and after a beat, Nathan nodded toward an empty chair. "Didn't think I'd run into you here," he said, his voice even but his eyes flickering with something unspoken. "Same," Amelia replied, keeping it light. "How are you holding up?" Nathan let out a heavy sigh, raking a hand through his unkempt hair. "Not so good, honestly. Sophie and I split. She took our boy and left town. Can't really blame her. I couldn't be what she needed. Couldn't be what anyone needed." He faltered, then added, "Heard about you and Ben. Sounds like you're happy." Amelia gave a small nod, a pang of sadness catching her off guard. "I am," she said softly. "Ben's been amazing, for me, for Lily and Owen. We've got something real, something I didn't think I'd find after everything." Nathan eased back in his chair, his face softening. "You always deserved better, Amelia. I didn't see it then, but you deserved more than I ever gave." "Thanks for saying that," Amelia said, her tone steady but kind. "We both messed up, Nathan. We just weren't right for each other. That's okay. What counts is we've both moved on." Before they parted, Nathan hesitated, then spoke. "I'm thinking of leaving town. Nothing's keeping me here. I wanted to offer you the country house before I go. It always felt more like yours." Amelia gave a gentle smile, shaking her head. "I appreciate it, but my home's here now, with Ben, Lily, and Owen. I'm where I'm meant to be." Walking away, a quiet sense of closure settled over her. Nathan was part of a past she'd let go, and though the journey had scarred her, it brought her to a life she treasured. In their warm, welcoming apartment, Amelia, Ben, Lily, and Owen thrived. The kids loved Ben, who stepped into their lives not just as a father figure but as a true partner. He taught Owen to tinker with bikes and spent hours helping Lily with school projects, while Amelia soaked in the steady joy that had taken root. On balmy evenings, they'd fire up the grill in the backyard, laughter spilling out as Ben flipped burgers and Amelia playfully sprayed the kids with the hose. They dreamed up plans: a mountain getaway, a vegetable patch out back, maybe even a dog. Life still tossed challenges their way, but Amelia and Ben tackled them side by side, their connection deepening. For the first